Hey everyone, welcome back. Pred's World here. Doing another review. I'm going to do this one on the Tiger J Black Spider-Man. There's also an original version of the red and blue Spider-Man, but this is the one that I got, and we're going to do that right after this. Alright, so like I said, it's the Spider-Man from one of the custom commissioners, Tiger J. So we're going to go ahead and go through that, just talk about some of the things. Some of the things I would have changed that could have been a little bit better, and then we'll just kind of do a overall review as far as what I think of it. So as usual, so we're going to go with the Sculpt. Sculpt is fantastic. I like the detail, the design. The concept is really good. The webbings is actually metal, which is actually kind of cool because you know it's not going to break in shipping and stuff. It does provide a little bit different aspect when it's going into the actual casting, but we'll talk about that a little bit. But the sculpt, so the Spider-Man's position and everything, it's kind of typical Spider-Man. It's really cool. I love how dynamic this one is. The sculpt on the base is pretty neat. I like it a lot. And then the sculpt on the glider is really good as well. I like what they did with it. There's a couple things like one of the guns on the back, it's a little crooked, so I'm a little anal. But it's stuck that way essentially, you can't move it. But it still looks good. So, but the sculpt on the glider was really good. The missiles and everything that they've got here, they fit in there really well. And then the missiles and the smoke is kind of cool how they did it. So it's essentially just the ends of the missiles that go in the smoke to make it look like it's still attached. But it's in that smoke area. So that was pretty neat. The sculpt on the pumpkin bombs, really good. And I like how they kind of attach them in different places. Spider-Man himself, like this, the bust they give you to put the one of the extra heads in is really cool. It's heavy and it's really done really well. But they actually give you like the whole torso here, so there's a whole new different torso. So that's really cool. And then the sign here. I'm not a fan of like announcing who the character is. Most people know who Spider-Man is, but they did a really good job on it. I like it. It's a nice little extra. All right, so architecture. This is where there's probably a couple things I would have tweaked. The first thing I'll mention is, I mean, these are a little loose. Probably 2 out of the 4 are loose. They kind of wiggle. Not a big deal. Obviously, they're not going anywhere. They're magnetized in there. Where the smoke goes into the base, it's a big key with a big peg in it. There's a big metal pole in it, right? And it goes on this left side here, into here. Now, the issue with that is once you get Spider-Man on, the glider with Spider-Man on, the weight is really over here. So I had to actually, it kind of came out a little bit, but I was able to just put it back in and it stayed. So I think it'll be fine, but that weight distribution would have been nice to have maybe a key underneath this one too, just for that weight. But again, I think it'll stay and I think it'll be fine. So that's just something I would have looked at. One of the other things is, so the webbing here, where it comes into the smoke, it's not bad, but it doesn't exactly cover the hole. It's kind of a big hole compared to it. And the wiring, I would have actually put a peg on it. A piece of wire going down with a little hole in the glider to hold it against the glider and in there. Where it is now, it just kind of lays on it. Could scratch the paint if it moves, right? So I would have done that a little bit different and just put it, like I said, put a little piece of wire coming down and a little hole in the glider to hold it in there. So I would have done that differently. Most of the pumpkin bombs are pretty good. They just have holes in them. One of them has a peg that goes in a hole. And essentially they just kind of sit on there. They go on pretty easy. There we go. you can see it bounces right when you touch it. So it's a little different, the webbing. I would have probably made the holes deeper in some of the places where they go in, like here, so that it goes in further and holds better. Other than that, I mean, I think it'll hold up fine once you get it in place. Let's see, what else on the architecture? The way they did the smoke, there's a lot of pieces that are separate, right? Obviously, you're going to see a lot of seams. It's not bad. Obviously, it's in the back, kind of, so not a huge deal. And I know they had to do it because of breakage, but, and again, you're not going to see it really. So that's the architecture. Like I said, there's just a couple things I would have changed, made it differently. But not too bad. The paint application, pretty good. I don't see any bleed over areas, nothing that went over. I'm trying to plug in the light here. So I think the paint turned out really well. I love the colors on the glider. They really pop. Like I said, there's no bleed over on the spider in Spider-Man. And then the smoke has that like orangish, yellowish hue to it as far as like for flame, right? The flame coming out of the back of the glider. So yeah, so the paint, really good. I mean, the pumpkin bomb's really good. I like them. Again, it's that key is like no bleed over into other areas. They seem to have done a really good job on that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so you guys can kind of get a 360 of him. So overall, I'd have to say I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really happy with it. It's really good. The metal things, like I said, if he's stationary, not a big deal. And it's rotating backwards now. So yeah, once he's stationary, it's not going to be a big deal as far as the webbing goes, the metal webbing. But I'm super happy with it. I think it turned out great. For what they had to do, I think they did a fantastic job. Because this is a pretty dynamic piece altogether. There is a piece of the back here where you can light it up. Not super fond of it. It's just a little LED light. You just screw it, tighten it, and it'll come on, loosen it, it turns off. But that just goes in the back of the glider. Oh, now I know why it's doing it. Never plugged in. Doesn't want to go all the way around. And then that's just magnetized on the back once you put the light in there. So again, I think it's a fantastic piece, very dynamic. Just a couple architectural things that I probably would have done a little bit different. The webbing on the glider is my biggest pain point, I guess. But awesome. I think it's a great piece. All right, so please remember, subscribe, hit that bell if you do want to get notified, and then hit that like button if you do like my videos. It helps out the channel a lot. And I need to get those subscribers up. So again, I want to do a giveaway at like 500 subscribers. I'm about 250 away, a little less. And then another one once I do get to 1,000. Once I get to 1,000, obviously that's the goal. At least 1,000 subscribers. But thanks for coming, everyone. I hope you don't mind all the content that I'm putting out. I'm trying to put out more than I have been lately. So thanks, everyone.